Time being 7 o'clock, I call the Hastings City Council meeting to order. Please stand and face the flag and state the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everyone, to one of our highlights of the year to give a chance to celebrate the dedication of our great employees. And these employees had milestone anniversaries this year, and I will welcome Dan Maticha to deliver their awards.
Thank you. This is my favorite meeting of the year. I am pleased to recognize the employees of the City of Hastings who have celebrated milestone anniversaries this year. We are fortunate to have their service and expertise on staff and are happy we could recognize many of them in person this evening. Thank you to those of you who are here with us tonight. In terms of how we'll work with this, when I call your name, please make your way up here with Megan. I think at the end we'll also have some group photos and with the council. So a little bit different format to our typical meetings, but this one's a lot of fun. The following employees have been with the City of Hastings for 5 years. Michael Beard began as a police reserve with the Hastings Police Department in December of 2016. He enjoys meeting people in the community and hearing their stories. He also enjoys ice fishing, amateur astronomy, tennis, and embarrassing the kids and their friends. Thank you, Officer Beard, for your volunteer service. Not with us this evening. Jonathan Buck joined the Fire EMS Department in 2012 part-time, and in 2017 moved into a full-time role, continuing his service to the community as a paid-on-call firefighter EMT. He brings a consistent, reliable, and professional approach when serving the community. He is always positive when serving the community and the department. Thank you, Jonathan, for your years of service. We look forward to your continued impact on our community. Richard Brown retired from Hastings Police Department as a police officer in 2013 and was hired back as an evidence technician in 2017. The evidence room was in desperate need of attention, and Richard's meticulous nature ensured he was the right person for the job. Richard enjoys purchasing old Chevrolet trucks in his free time and restoring them to factory condition. Sergeant Pat Dietrich began his career as a police officer with the City of Hastings in June of 2017. Pat worked in the patrol division for approximately 1 year and moved into investigations for 3 years. He recently was promoted to patrol sergeant. Pat enjoys spending time with his family, hiking, hunting, and being outdoors. Thank you, Sergeant Dietrich, for your service to our community. Tough night with the roads. Adam Harkleroad started with the Fire EMS Department in 2017 as a full-time firefighter paramedic. He has represented the department as a member of the Dakota County Special Operations Team and on Minnesota Task Force 1. He has a wide range of experience and knowledge that serves the community and our department. Adam was promoted to fire captain in this year, 2022, and currently serves in that role, which also includes responsibilities for planning and conducting fire training for the department. Thank you, Adam, for your years of service. We look forward to your continued impact on our community. Reserve Officer Brian Jansen began as a police reserve with the Hastings Police Department in December 2016. He enjoys working Rivertown Days and Gobblegate events for the city. Brian has a passion for running and stays in shape for his beloved hockey season, where he works as a referee at the collegiate level. Thank you, Officer Jansen, for your service to our community. Alana Siebenaller has been the welcoming face of the building department for over 5 years, working with residents and contractors and securing building permits. Her excellent customer service and knowledge of building permits were recently recognized in a promotion to Senior Building Permit Tech earlier this year. Congratulations, Alana. We look forward to your growth and responsibilities and are thankful for all the great things you do. Rainier Steenkamp joined the fire department as a paid-on-call firefighter EMT in 2015 and was promoted to full-time firefighter paramedic in 2017. He has served the department in many ways and has been instrumental in helping with our records management system. Rainier always brings his own style and positive energy when serving the community and the department. Thank you, Rainier, for your years of service. We look forward to your continued impact on our community. David Wilski has been with the Hastings Police Department for 5 years, following a 20-year career with the University of Minnesota Police Department. Since joining HPD, he has led department training and development, fleet management, and emergency management. He has been instrumental in forming partnerships with community leaders and groups. In the past year, a partnership between Hastings Police and IDEA was received statewide recognition from city peers. Wilski was appointed as police chief in May of this year. Come on up here. Somebody's in attendance tonight. Thanks, Chief. Scott Whittle joined the fire department in 2012 on a part-time basis and became a full-time employee in 2017, continuing his service as paid-on-call firefighter EMT. Scott also represents the Fire EMS Department on the Dakota County Special Operations Team, bringing back a wide variety of training and experience. He brings a consistent, reliable, and professional approach when serving the community and the department. Thank you, Scott, for your years of service. We look forward to your continued impact on our community. The following employees have been with the City of Hastings for 10 years. Reserve Sergeant Randy Gray began as a police reserve with the Hastings Police Department in February 2012. He has served as a field training officer and was promoted to Reserve Sergeant in May of 2015. He enjoys working Rivertown Days and Gobblegate events for the city, as well as providing support for the Hastings Police Department and our community. Thank you, Sergeant Gray, for your service to the community. Sergeant Ryan Klein began his career as a police officer with the City of Hastings in April of 2012. Ryan worked in the patrol division as a patrol officer, worked as a school resource officer for 3 years, and was promoted to patrol sergeant in 2020. Ryan is a drug recognition expert for the department and enjoys spending time with his family in the great outdoors. Thank you, Sergeant Klein, for your knowledge and service. PJ Lippert joined the Fire and EMS Department in 2012 and serves the community as a paid-on-call firefighter EMT. He currently is one of our ICE rescue instructors, bringing his expertise to the department staff and readiness. He brings a consistent, reliable, and professional approach when serving the community and always has a positive attitude. Thank you, PJ, for your years of service. We look forward to your continued impact on our community. Look at that smile. Jamie Stevens has been with the Fire EMS Department since 2007. He began his career as a paid-on-call firefighter EMT and eventually was hired full-time in 2012. During his time here, he has served as a fire captain and moved to his new role as fire inspector in 2022. He has served on a wide variety of committees and has helped our department grow and evolve. Thank you, Jamie, for your years of service to the community and the department. Robert Wargo III joined the Fire EMS Department in 2012 and has served our community and the department as a responder, an officer, mentor, and pretty much wherever else he's needed. He was promoted to paid-on-call lieutenant in May of this year and has served on a number of committees within the department. Thank you, Robert, for your versatility and years of service to the community and the department. The following employees have been with the City of Hastings for 15 years. You see where this is going. Kathy Belisle began her career with the City of Hastings in August 2006 as a City Hall receptionist. In 2012, Kathy took on shared duties supporting both the Police Department and City Hall, leading to her full-time employment with the Police Department. As a Police Administrative Specialist, too, Kathy plays an important part in the successful operation of the department. Kathy enjoys attending Minnesota Wild games and is a loyal Green Bay Packers fan. Congratulations and thank you for years of service, Kathy. Justin Fortney has served as city planner for the last 15 years. His responsibilities include review and permitting of applications for residential and commercial development. He serves as the staff liaison to the Heritage Preservation Commission, ensuring renovation and upkeep of our historic homes and commercial buildings for future generations to enjoy. Justin also has a unique ability to fix just about anything mechanical. Congratulations and thank you, Justin, for your expertise and service in Hastings. Adam Schumacher is the IT Specialist 2 for the Information Technology Department. He assists with the management and support of our environment, which includes servers, network infrastructure, backups, telephony, and cybersecurity. He is calm, patient, and always happy to help. His knowledge, ability, and years of experience are a great asset to the city. Adam's family moved to Hastings this year. The new house and his 3 kids keep him busy when he is not at work. Congratulations, and thank you, Adam, for your service to all of our departments. "15 years. Al Storley has been with the fire department since 1985. During his time with the department, he has served as a paid-on-call firefighter EMT, paid-on-call lieutenant, fire inspector, and was promoted to fire marshal position in 2021. He has served as a paid-on-call employee for 37 years and 15 years as a full-time employee. Al has been engaged in all aspects of our department and continually positively engages his coworkers and community. Al makes our community safer and brighter. Thank you for your years of service, Al, and congratulations on this important milestone. Reserve Sergeant Chris Stone began as a police reserve with the Hastings Police Department in September 2006. He has served as a field training officer and was promoted to Reserve Sergeant in February of 2011. He enjoys working the Rivertown Days and holiday train events for the city. In his spare time, Chris enjoys camping, mountain biking, and riding his motorcycle with his son. Thank you, Sergeant Stone, for your continued support to our community. John Townsend began as a paid-on-call firefighter EMT over 20 years ago and was hired on full-time as Assistant Chief and Fire Marshal in 2007. He has been involved with the Dakota County Special Operations Team, Minnesota Task Force 1, and as a tactical paramedic. He served as the acting fire chief for over a year prior to being appointed as fire chief in November 2020. Thank you, Chief. Reserve Lieutenant Joey Troutman began as a police reserve with the Hastings Police Department in July 2008. He has served as a field training officer, reserve sergeant, and has been serving as the reserve lieutenant since 2019. Joey enjoys coaching hockey and spending time with his family. He has enjoyed giving back to the community and working alongside HPD's finest. Thank you, Joey, for your ongoing commitment to serve the residents of Hastings. The next employee is celebrating 2 decades, 20 years with the city. John Hensman oversees planning, economic development, building inspections, and code enforcement, all extremely busy and exciting areas for the city, and particularly the last few years. John is always professionally unflappable, and he presents complex topics in a clear and understandable manner. He also is a mentor for his staff, for interns, and as a volunteer for Junior Achievement. John, thank you for your commitment to the city of Hastings. You're also our on-call IT guy for council meetings. Thank you, John. We have no 25-year employees this year, but we do have a couple with 3 decades of service. So skipping ahead to 30 years, Bill McNamara has become one of the city's most well-rounded public works operators. In any given day, he can be checking pump houses first thing in the morning, then change out a faulty water meter and snowplow in the afternoon. Bill has taken on the position as the city's lead meter technician, which keeps him busy as the technologies in meters is always changing. He also is the lead for doing go-for-one locating of water mains, sewer lines, and streetlight wires for the city, and works with the contractors who call in locate requests. Bill is also a mentor to the new guys in the shop, passing along his knowledge and training them to become skilled operators. Bill enjoys his free time fishing, skiing, and of course, spending time with his family. Congratulations, Bill, on your 3 decades of service, and thank you for your dedication to the city of Hastings. Gary Rudy also celebrates his 30-year milestone. He is one of the city's highly skilled equipment operators. In the summer months, Gary is often seen operating a street sweeper to keep the streets clean, or operating the pothole spray patching machine to keep streets safe for driving. If a chainsaw is needed for any kind of tree work, Gary can handle the task easily. When winter rolls around, as it inevitably does, Gary takes on the role of operating one of the city's 2 tandem axle plow trucks and clearing the largest plow route in the city in one of the busiest areas of town. Gary is always available nights or weekends to help out with whatever events occur at a moment's notice. Outside of work, Gary is an excellent pool player and enjoys shooting league pool and competing in tournaments. Thank you, Gary, for your many talents and 30 years of service in Hastings. And last, but certainly not least, this employee represents the most with 35 years of service. I'm going to pause from the script for a second, too. The two prior, and Mark coming up here, 95 years between the three of them, all at the Public Works Department. That's just awesome. And back to the script. With his 35 years with the city, Mark Piney has been the Public Works Superintendent for the last decade. This experience has made Mark the go-to employee for anything and for everything in the Public Works Department. His institutional knowledge and hands-on experience are invaluable to the city. Mark's calm demeanor in emergency situations provides the consistent and confident leadership necessary to achieve successful outcomes. Mark never backs away from the challenge and jumps right in to help the team tackle any problem. When Mark is not managing the maintenance and operations of our streets, lighting systems, storm sewers, sanitary sewers, ponding basins, floodways, or drinking water system, he is running point on our hydroelectric plant on the Mississippi River. Mark carries the stress and burden every evening and weekend that comes with running the operations of a city to make normal happen. Thank you, Mark, for your 35 years of dedication and commitment. You can't go into a local shop or restaurant without running into someone who knows Mark and say hi. Mark enjoys all things Corvette, snowmobiling, and spending time chasing his grandchildren. Congratulations on your 35-year milestone. It truly is an honor to have an individual with such integrity and care representing the Public Works Department. And I'm sure many of you know, Mark is retiring in another month here at the end of January. So we respect and appreciate his 35 years, but that institutional knowledge is really going to matter this time. Thank you, Mark. Together, Together, these employees represent nearly 300 years of combined service to the city of Hastings. We are fortunate to have their knowledge, dedication, and continued service. Thank you to each of you. I think with that, do we want to do some photos now? Thank you.
Council, if we could do some photos, please. All right. Now we're going to have John Hinsman give out some retirement of commissioners for the community development area.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council members. We're blessed to have many individuals who serve in commissions for the City of Hastings. Now, commissions help the City Council in providing expertise and guidance on a variety of different issues. So tonight, I have a few commissioners that are outgoing that I want to recognize, and I believe there's some other commissions from other departments here as well. I'd like to start out with the Planning Commission to begin with. Our Planning Commission serves in guiding planning and land use, subdivisions, new development, commercial developments, looking at our zoning code. And over the last couple of years, as we've all known around here, we have had a tremendous amount of growth. And so there's been some challenges that have come forward with different subdivisions and new development. How should they look? Does it fit within an area? Those type of issues. And our outgoing Planning Commissioner, Todd Matsky, has been a part of that over the last 2.5 years. Todd has served on the Planning Commission during that time. He brings his background in stormwater management, which has been a very interesting and a very great thing for us to be able to take advantage of in reviewing our subdivisions. Todd is always one to make sure that he reviews things properly and that he is well prepared as he comes forward. So I'd like to thank Todd for his service to the Planning Commission tonight for his 2.5 years. Wish him the best in the future. So Todd, if you could come forward here. Also have a couple of individuals that aren't here tonight that I want to recognize as well from our Heritage Preservation Commission. Heritage Preservation Commission serves to make sure the historic fabric of our city stays the way it should be, to provide for the improvements that are necessary, but to also ensure that the historic fabric of the city makes it special. That's one of the special portions that makes Hastings Hastings. So it's a very great commission, and we're very proud of the individuals that have served. And I've got the honor tonight to thank Kathy Sovic-Siemens. Now, Kathy has served on the HPC for over 26 years. That's just an amazing amount of time. During that time, I mean, this building here was just about 5 years old. We had just moved into it from our old City Hall. The Leduc Mansion was still in private ownership. There was a lot of things in the city that were not on the historic register that are on the historic register. And Kathy's guidance through that time has been instrumental to make sure that Hastings stays historic as it is today. So even though she is not here tonight, I want to give a round of applause to Kathy. And then we also have two other Heritage Preservation Commission members who will be leaving us as well, Emily Showman and Connie Blasing. They've served on the commission over the last year or so. I want to thank them for their participation in the commission and the assistance that they provided to the commission. So those are the outgoing commissioners that I'll be speaking to tonight, and thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, John. Next, we will have the Public Safety Advisory Committee, and Chief Wolski is with us.
Madam Mayor, City Council members, thank you for the opportunity. I would like to recognize a couple of outgoing Public Safety Advisory Commission members. The Public Safety Advisory Commission members assist the fire department and the police department. We meet monthly, and they help us with some projects that we're working on, like National Night Out. They are absolutely instrumental for the police department for National Night Out, and then the fire department open house. They're of great assistance, as well as legislation that might come down. For example, the new THC laws, the Public Safety Advisory Commission is reviewing and studying that to give some recommendations to the committee from the Public Safety Committee of City Council. Unfortunately, both commissioners were not able to be here tonight. I think it's weather-related, I'll be honest. But first of all, Brian Asherman began serving as a on the Public Safety Advisory Commission on March 7th of 2016. Will complete his last term at the end of this year. Brian brought wisdom and an expertise to the commission due to his background in law. Brian would often volunteer to purchase numerous items for National Night Out to ensure the event was successful. He also participated in recommendations surrounding the adoption of Tobacco 21 ordinance and the all-terrain vehicle operations on public streets for the city of Hastings. Brian, thank you for your service on the Public Safety Advisory Commission, and your sense of humor will be missed. And secondly, Jesse Starkson, he began serving on the Public Safety Advisory Commission on February 6th of 2017. Jesse was generally responsible for ensuring we had the right equipment for National Night Out. More importantly, the hot dog cooker, which is very important. Jesse participated with recommendations surrounding the adoption of the Tobacco 21 ordinance and all-terrain vehicle operations on public streets for the city of Hastings. So Jesse, thank you for your service on the Public Safety Advisory Commission, and your insight on the commission will be missed. And with that, if we could just have a round of applause for both commissioners, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
And then lastly, we have Chris Jenkins from our Parks Department to honor the Parks and Recs Commission. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Pleasure to be here tonight. As both John and Chief have said, our commissioners do so much good work for the city. These three commissioners that we have outgoing from the Parks Commission this evening have all served 6 years with us. And that's the maximum length they can serve with this commission. So they've come on, they've helped us out through a wide variety of topics, anything to do with Parks and Recreation. We talk about budgets, we talk about fees, we talk about equipment purchases for playgrounds, all sorts of things, ordinances, rules. And these three individuals bring a lot of thought and insight, a lot of humor, a lot of good conversation, and they're just really, really good people, and we've been very thankful to have them for the past 6 years. So we got some big shoes to fill. This is 3 of our current 7, so we'll be looking for 3 more good commissioners coming up. Mr. Dave Pimble, Mr. Ben Spader, and Chelsea Piskor. She is not here with us tonight. She's at Lambeau Field, so we'll excuse her for that. But if you want to come on up, I'd like to thank you and shake your hand. Thanks, sir. Yes, appreciate it.
At this time, if commissioners would step up, we'll do a photo with the council. All right, Also tonight here, we have Commissioner Mike Slavic, and he will give us an update from the county. Welcome, Mike.
Well, good evening, Mayor, council members, city staff, and those who decided to stick it out and watch the rest of this. It's much appreciated. Usually, there's this rush of people who leave as soon as I get up to speak at this event. So this is my 10th year having the opportunity to go and share an annual Dakota County update, so I thank you very much for the invitation to be here. A couple topics that I'd like to just start out with. First of all, everyone got their property tax statements in there, and I think I want to spend a little bit of time just talking about valuation, particularly to Hastings as well as countywide, as well as I watch every meeting, I saw Councilmember Vaughn's point that I think it might be valuable if invited to show up in March, April, to be able to go and give an update on what the valuations do so that the public, one, has an opportunity to go in and maybe appeal or contest their valuation, but also city council members and staff will also know a little bit more of what it looks like in the city limits. So Dakota County as a whole had a 17% valuation increase for residential properties. Dakota County was the fourth highest in the metro area, so it was kind of in the middle of where the counties fit for valuation increase. However, the city of Hastings was the highest valuation increase of any city in the entire county. So 21.6% was the valuation increase for the city of Hastings, and much of that had to do with we've kind of had lagged a little bit in the past and a little bit of the catch-up. So I want to spend just a brief minute explaining a little bit how the county has to do the valuation, because as often happens when you get the statement, you want to say what's going on with my property taxes. It's too late, and number two, there's a process that goes with that is really not even under the control of the local government or the county or the school, but really is a lot of mandates at the state of Minnesota. So the assessment looks at what the property value would be on the 2nd of January of that given year. So the valuations that we see when everyone said my house went up 21% in value, that is actually what they deemed the value of your market value of your property was on January 2nd of this year for 1 year later. So in that scenario in there, the assessor has to go in and look at every single parcel to determine what that's at. State law requires that the valuation must be market value. Well, some people can say we can blame the realtors, but the fact of the matter is values have gone up quite significantly, not only in Hastings, but throughout the state in the last about 2.5 years. With that, what they do is the assessor will consider sales from October of the previous year through September 30th. So for the valuations that we're looking at today, that is, they looked at all sales that happened in the city of Hastings from October 1st, 2020 to September 30th of 2021. And that's how they determined with support of what your value would be for next year's taxes. I think the first and foremost I should have started with saying in Minnesota, property taxes are complicated and confusing. And I think that's very sure. We have not found a good way to do this, but it's the system we have. And as I said, the state of Minnesota mandates by state law that valuations must be between 90 and 105% of market value. We in Dakota County have found that median value roughly about 93.5 to 95.4. So that's just a little bit on the valuations in there, but I guess my commitment, if invited, would be to either bring our assessors and myself to be able to take 5-10 minutes with the city council this coming spring to be able to talk about next year's. We're also very fortunate that there's been a long history that the county assessor has been a resident of Hastings. So we've been fortunate that with the county seat based in Hastings, we have a lot of county employees that not only work for Dakota County in the city of Hastings, but also live here. And we're on 2, 3, 4 of them, I think, now that are local residents who happen to be the assessor for everybody's value. We won't tell you where because they're not the most popular people in the county. The second thing I want to just talk about a little bit is our county budget, just because I know that as you've gone through your budget process, the county has to do the same. Our budget for the 2023 is $438 million. That is actually lower than what it has been in past years. The operations are higher as inflation and other costs have gone in and staffing and raises and such, but the capital costs have actually gone down just just based on that, the county's kind of taken a little bit slower approach towards new construction and some of that. There is still investments, but it's not to the record years that we've had the last couple of years in terms of infrastructure. One of the things to make note of that is that there's a significant staff capacity increase in human services. As we've had a contractor with most of our social services have actually been nonprofits that worked for us, and they're struggling to get employees. So one of the things that we've done is those dollars that we've had for contracts for social services and human services, we're no longer contracting a number of those and bringing about 30 positions back to the county to be able to do that, because we need to be able to keep doing that as state and federal mandated requirements with human services. So that is one of the things that you'll see a pretty large increase of staff on that. The other thing is what this budget does is it maintains current services. So we're not cutting any services with this. It's kind of a status quo budget, simple as it can be. It does still invest in transportation, parks, our greenways, and facilities. Our levy increase was a 1.9%, and that's pretty much our status quo of what we can do given the cost of inflation and that. And there is about $5 million in right sizing and eliminating positions and restructuring to that, and kind of finding the right positions that we've been able to do, which is tough for all of us, and I know you all had to do that for this last year. I do want to just make a note as we kind of talk a little bit locally. This last month, a number of you had the opportunity to be present as we unveiled the bison at the Spring Lake Park Reserve, and that's very exciting. I think it's kind of help put the Hastings on the map at a whole different level, as we've now have 8 bison who are on the prairie at Spring Lake Park Reserve. This was something that this coming spring we'll be having the grand public open house where the public will be able to witness them as they are closer there. But I thought I'd give just a couple quick updates on that. So there are 8 paddocks that the bison are in. The bison came from mostly across Minnesota, but there's a DNR program to go in and bring native bison back to the prairies in Minnesota. So the goal is to have 300 bison that will come to the prairie. This is about 15 of them funded by the lottery. So the lottery was able to fund the costs of the infrastructure on this, and we do have one support staff that is going to be helping with the bison. But this has really drawn a lot of buzz already into our community, and portions of the bison will actually be near the bike trail. So the Mississippi River Greenway, so you will have an opportunity depending on which paddock they're in at the time. But that's only one part of what's happening at Shars Bluff and Spring Lake Park. It's actually had a big master plan, which is now in 2023 we'll be implementing that plan. 2023 and 24 you'll see about $4 million in upgrades and improvements. This winter you're going to see some of the natural resource work that's best to be done in the winter. That's what Spring Lake Park, Shars Bluff is 1,200 acres. And trying to go in and restore the woods, the forest, the prairies takes a lot of investment, and we've been working on that for years, and we won't stop just after the next 2 years. But that's just to give you a little bit of, if you keep coming back to Spring Lake Park and Shars Bluff, you'll see a lot of new changes over the next couple of years. Next thing I want to talk about is our greenway system. So you're all familiar, we've created a partnership that the county has been in the process of taking over. The Mississippi River Greenway Trail starts in downtown Hastings, goes all the way up to the county line up in South St. Paul. And with that, with our 200-mile greenway system, the intent is that those greenways will be owned and maintained by the county. So that is one of the portions of the 10-mile loop, and it happens to be something that all county taxpayers will see benefit and pay for to be able to help with the cost of the city. Well, we went and realized the popularity of this. We were not building our greenway fast enough and have been able to use some of the sales tax that we use for transportation and designate that to accelerate greenway projects within Dakota County, because we were basically building about a mile a year. And we've got about 30 miles done, and we're going to go a long ways if we're going to get 200 miles completed. So we've done an acceleration plan where we found $4 million additional dollars to be able to do that. And one of the very first projects is the acceleration of the Vermilion River Greenway, which is existing trail that the city owns. That there'll be some improvements on that, reconstruction and improvements on that. And when that is completed, then not only the Mississippi, but the Vermilion all the way to currently Pleasant Drive will be owned and maintained by the county, saving the taxpayers of Hastings, but also working on being able to get a more regional trail system in that. And included in that is when Vermilion Falls Park does get some improvements on there, that designates that as part of a trailhead and includes $300,000 of county money that will go towards your improvements at Vermilion Falls Park. So by doing all that process in there, that moves that forward. So that has been obviously a priority of mine. We have a great trail system in Hastings, and it's been something that the county is really trying to work harder on that aspect in there. So much to the point that there are now conversations, finally, as former Mayor Hicks would know this, connecting Hastings to Red Wing on the trail system through the reconstruction of Rivanna Trail County Road. So there is more work on that, but as has often been said, with Dakota County and Hastings is going to be that hub of trail systems, and I think that we're working on making sure that even goes further and a lot faster than I think a lot of people thought it would. The second to last thing that I have to say is a year ago, this meeting, I think we had a workshop with the Community Development Agency, which I chair, and talking about housing and affordable housing within the city of Hastings and county as a whole. And one of the things that we were looking for at the Community Development Agency was, would the city of Hastings be willing to be a partner on projects in the future? And the 7 of you nodded your heads and said we are willing to do that. And I want to share with you that we have now entered into a purchase agreement on a parcel within the city of Hastings for a workforce townhouse development that we are moving forward with. Of course, due diligence needed still on that, but we did at our last meeting on Tuesday go in and approve that. So that will be looking to be another 40 units of housing, probably different from what you see currently in the 2 to 3 bedrooms that are by the library and by off of Pleasant Drive. This one will probably be a mixture of 1 bedrooms and 4 bedrooms, as well as 2 and 3. So what we're seeing in terms of the housing thing is there's a lot of individuals who just don't have kids, but they also have situations where they have 1 kid and they don't need the larger units, but they still have some strains on the housing component. So we have some capacity on our single users as well as our larger families. So this is a model very similar to which will break ground this coming spring in Farmington. We're looking to probably model that in the city of Hastings as well. So just thought that share that good news with you, that thank you for your support as a city and council. This is a property that we don't need to see all the designs yet because the city council and the comprehensive plan already have this zoned for this type of use. So this was a parcel, in-holding parcel within the city limits that already is designated for multifamily use. So it actually fits this, and we'll work with our financing to get the low income tax credits and be able to work on that in the coming years. Last thing I just want to say before, any questions up to this point? My last thing are quick goodbyes, so any questions from mayor or council? No? Okay. The last thing I want to just say is to Councilmember Brox and Councilmember Vaughn, thank you very much for all your service to the city. I also appreciate your friendship. It was about 9 years ago when I sat down with both of you separately and said I think you'd be really good city council members, and I'm glad to be right tonight. So, what you've been able to do, both from the financial side and the leadership, and really helping to make Hastings the community that it is, I am forever grateful as a citizen and a resident, and I know the residents and businesses of Hastings are also very grateful. So, thank you very much for that. And that's all I have, Mayor and Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Slavic. Okay, council members, are there any corrections to the meetings from the December 5th meeting? Okay, anyone in the audience wish to speak to the council at this time? And we have no one on Zoom. Okay, council, I would accept a motion to accept the consent agenda. Councilmember Brox and Councilmember Vaughn. Okay, any discussion, council? All those in favor of the motion state by saying aye. Aye. Opposed to that motion state by saying nay. And that motion prevails. Tonight, under City Code Chapter 34, we have a fee schedule. And with us, we will have Mr. Ruticha give us an update on that.
We do have a public hearing scheduled, and following that, potentially action by council for second reading and approval of the ordinance. The fees recommended this evening, and they're baked into the budget that you guys adopted 2 weeks ago, are shorter lists than we've seen at sometimes. There's 3 of them. They are all in the utility rates, the water, sewer, and stormwater utilities. And these come out of a utility rate study that we worked with Ellers a couple of years ago in the summer of 2020, and expect that we'll be doing an update to that study this coming spring. But the rates are 3.5% increase on water, 2% increase on sanitary sewer, and 4% increase on the stormwater. With that, I can stand for any questions, and obviously you've got the public hearing also. Thank you.
This time I will open the public hearing. Anyone wish to speak to the fee structure at this time? And no one on Zoom. This time I will close the public hearing. Council discussion. Councilmember Vaughn.
Thank you, Your Honor. Dan, I just want to check, were we close? What the consultant suggested for us? Are we on target to keep the same continued increases to pay for our infrastructure?
Yes, overall, believe that's the case. The study a couple of years ago had indicated these should be annual increases to avoid having, big swings up and down. There is a larger increase in sanitary sewer at 2%, where the study had projected 1%. But we're seeing some added infrastructure costs, as well as upgrading to the SCADA system that I don't know was planned a couple of years ago. But other than that one getting bumped a little bit, expect that the, overall expect that the updated study this spring would still be in line with these.
Thank you. I recommend that. I think the study's due. We approved that a long time ago, and I think it's time we revisit that, and hopefully we can start to stabilize this so we don't have to keep continually going up like we are. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Vaughn. Councilmember Fulch.
Thank you, Your Honor. Dan, just a question about that feasibility or the rate structure study that we're going to be doing this spring. Are we going to be incorporating any of the PFAS types of modifications that we're going to require for our water system? Soon we're waiting for the federal government to come out and tell us where Hastings sits, but I know that there's a lot of discussion about how we are going to be out of compliance with the Department of Health regulations around this issue, and so just wanting to be, comprehensive and keeping our eye ahead on upcoming issues.
Certainly keeping an eye on it, but I do not believe that it would be part of the study. That will be a unique, extremely expensive piece of capital investment that we are presently and expect continue to actively pursue outside funding for that and hope to keep it off of the rates. So expect that it'll stand alone and not be part of the rate study.
Thank you, Councilmember Fulch. Any other discussion, Council? Okay, if not, I would accept a motion to conduct a second reading and adopt an ordinance of the City of Hastings, Minnesota, amending Chapter 34 of the Hastings City Code pertaining to fees of municipal services. Okay, thank you, Councilmember Fox. Second. Councilmember Lund. Any discussion, Council? All those in favor of the motion, state by saying aye. Aye. Opposed to that motion, state by saying nay. And that motion prevails. Thank you. All right, tonight we also have a public hearing, and with us we have Public Works Director Ryan Stemsky, and Ryan will give us an update on this.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. As the mayor stated, tonight we're here to conduct a public hearing on some stormwater chapters. And the reason we need to go through this mandate is a couple reasons. One, the City of Hastings is the permitting authority on stormwater. So to stay compliant with that permitting authority, we need to stay up with the regulations of our local watershed in the state of Minnesota. So there's a couple updates we needed to ensue in our ordinances. And then also, as part of our MS4 permit with the state of Minnesota, that's conducted by the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. That regulates how we treat stormwater and what water quality elements are required before sending water downstream to the state of Minnesota. So to our downstream rivers, streams, ponds, et cetera. So we actually have a permit to do that. We can't just let the rain fall and have it go its merry way. So those are a couple of the rationale and reasons why we needed to update our stormwater ordinance. The other piece, since we had to do these regulation updates, our stormwater ordinance can get a little confusing, and we felt the need to make it a little more streamlined, apply some very clear definitions to it, make it a little more user-friendly and flow better. So kind of twofold, we were looking for that opportunity to clean things up and make things flow and be easier for our developers, engineers to sort through and work through. So some of the specific changes that we made were the actual water quality calculation that an applicant would need to do. We've required now, there's a watershed calculation and a state calculation. I won't go through the details of those, but they both need to be done by the applicants, and the more stringent of the two applies to that development or land disturbing activity. So we clarified that piece. We also described very clearly when alternative solutions are required. Some of our sites have technical restrictions on them. Bedrock, they're in a wellhead protection area, things like that happens from time to time. And so we've spelled out those limitations, and we very clearly did an off-ramp to the alternatives and the step-by-step process you go to when you run into those limitations. So that's in there and put in very clearly. We expanded on linear projects. Linear projects are street reconstructions or trail reconstructions. Those have a different set of expectations because they're actually, if we think about those projects, they're in a built environment, right? I'm not going to be able to purchase a home and demolish that home to put a stormwater pond in. So there's some reasonableness. And so we applied those new regulations and understandings of linear projects in our code and made those very clear. Salt management was a requirement of our MS4 permit. So salt management, basically, the push in the state is to look at illicit discharges. How do we save downstream waters from being polluted? One target area was the amount of salt that ends up in downstream waters. And so the regulations on our new ordinance talks about salt piles. So we're talking more the big piles for commercial sites. Although this does apply to all the city of Hastings, salt can't be stored on the ground. They need to be stored on paved surfaces or impervious surfaces. And then the salt piles need to be covered. So that kind of helps leaching into our groundwater and runoff from rain events. So that's now in our ordinance. And the last thing is just to look at the applicability of our stormwater quality regulations. We made it really simple. We went with our regulatory agencies. If you disturb an acre or more, the stormwater ordinance applies. If you don't, it doesn't apply. So we've expanded on our applicability to make it very clear of when it applies. And all of this brings us into compliance with our regulatory agencies. So with that, I'll turn it over to the mayor for any questions or to conduct the public hearing.
Thank you, Ryan. At this time, like I said, we'll have the public hearing first and discussion from council after, so. At this time, I open the public hearing. Anyone wish to speak to the council at this time? And no one at Zoom? I will close the public hearing, open the floor for discussion for council. Councilmember Fulch.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ryan, I was just wondering, have you talked to any of the local developers on what the impacts to these changes will be to any of the development that's been going on with residential or commercial properties within the jurisdiction?
As far as did we reach out and speak to any developers? No. As far as the impact to developers, a lot of this is the same state stormwater regulations since the 2000 plus era. So the water quality elements, the calculations and what they result in, what facilities are being built, there's really not a lot of substantive change there. This is just more on the backside of calculation and applicability and regulation. So as far as impact to a developer, it's going to be very, very similar to what's already in place.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Councilmember Fulch. Any other discussion, council? If not, I'd accept a motion to conduct a second reading and adopt an ordinance of the City of Hastings, amending Hastings City Code Chapter 152 Stormwater Management and Chapter 158 Property Management Requirements. Councilmember Fulch and Councilmember Fox. Any discussion, council? All those in favor of the motion state by saying aye. Aye. Opposed to that motion state by saying nay. And that motion prevails. Thank you. Welcome, and we're nearing the end of our meeting. But first of all, we have a couple things of housekeeping to do, and I'd like Representative Jurgens and Senator Bingham to step forward, please. First of all, this is their last meeting for representing the City of Hastings. So we would like to honor you with a little gift and a thank you. And I'll just read one because they both state the same. Tony Jurgens and Carla Bingham, thank you for your extraordinary service and dedication to the City of Hastings community, awarded this day, the 19th day of December of 2022. Thank you for all you have done for our community. You will be missed. Thank you. And don't forget where we are. So there is something for you. And at this point, they have a joint resolution that they would like to honor our Councilmember Vaughn and Councilmember Brox with.
So you tricked us to get us here to this meeting. Thank you very much, Mayor Mary, and to the council. Before we get on to other business, it has been a pleasure to represent the City of Hastings for the last 6 years. I think we're leaving you in good hands with Representative Hudella and Senator Seeberger coming on board. And they're going to do a great job for you. And I have appreciated, and Carla can speak for herself, but really appreciated the time to get to know all of you and representing you at the state capitol. So thank you all very much for that. Carla, do you want to say anything before we get
Can
on
you
to-
see me over there? So, thanks, Councilmember Brox. Yeah, no, it's just been awesome getting to know Hastings. Always the city to the south from Cottage Grove, so I don't always cry, Tony.
I don't know.
It has been an honor. Really enjoyed my time at Spiral, and I'll be down there. You guys are incredible hands with Senator Seeberger and Representative Hudalla. This town is so close and so welcoming. And honestly, somebody is an outsider, and a good friend of mine, Commissioner Slavic, has always said, you know, how amazing this city is. And from the outside, you guys welcomed me very much. And it was a pleasure to work with Representative Jurgens, who shows up and does good stuff, whether it was Highway 316, this building, we got so dang close to that Hastings Veterans Home, didn't we, buddy? But hopefully next year they'll get it. But thank you. You guys are amazing. And do you want me to read this? You
Yeah,
give the senator the mic, I don't give it back.
Yeah, you go.
know this.
You go first.
I drew Mark, so you have Lori. Okay, so are we reading all these or are they the same? I didn't.
They're similar, but there's differences, so,
Okay, I'm reading it.
okay.
House resolution, and I'm on the bottom of this too because I'm a former House member. I think I get privileges that way too. Anyway, honoring Mark Vaughn on his retirement from the Hastings City Council, whereas Mark Vaughn served on the Hastings City Council from 2015 to 2022 and has been active in the community and responsive to his community constituents. And whereas Mark served on the Hastings Economic Development Redevelopment Authority from 2017 to 2022, focusing on regulations and city services conducive to encouraging private development, including the Confluence development, which involved the sale of historic building for reuse. Oh, I'm getting old, Tony. I'm gonna need my cheaters here. And environmental cleanup. Confluence Park and Ramp, and Confluence Riverfront Park, 22 redevelopment loans, approving art space lofts, a Vermilion Corridor study, and the 2040 comprehensive plan, creating 435 apartment units, creating the HART grant, which provided $180,000 in small business relief to 70 businesses during the COVID pandemic, creating downtown parklets for the outdoor dining. Those are nice. The Quality One Woodwork and Intech Plastics expansions, converting a former Target building to Fleet Farm, yes, you did, and creating the Facade Improvement Grant Program. And whereas Mark Vaughn was the chair of the Great River Rail Commission, which supported federal and state funding to achieve TCMA, the second train to Chicago, excellent. In addition, Mark helped create miles of trail expansion and improvement in and around the city with 10-mile trail loop. Whereas Mark was involved in the Riverfront Renaissance completion and other street reconstruction and infrastructure improvements. And whereas Mark has a long-range focus on financial management, including beginning use of 5-year financial model with emphasis on maintaining the city infrastructure and assets. He started the Community Investment Fund to empower local partnerships and community-driven enhancements and leverage matching dollars. And whereas Mark has helped author a joint resolution with Independent School District 200 to create Thrive, and whereas Mark believed in upholding the core values of communication, optimal service, respect, resources, and enthusiasm, and he developed or strengthened partnership that benefit the residents of the city. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Committee on Rules and Legislative Administration of the House of Representatives of the state of Minnesota that it congratulates Mark Vaughn for his many years of outstanding service to his community and state, which is well on his future plans. Signed, Speaker of the House, Melissa Hortman, Chair of the Rules, Ryan Winkler, Representative Tony Jurgens, and State Senator Carla Bigham.
When Carla and I talked about coming up here, I said, you take one, I'll take the other one. She said, who's this? I said, I don't know which one's in which envelope, so I'll just hand you one. It'll be a surprise for both of us. This is a House resolution honoring Lori Brox on her retirement from the Hastings City Council. Whereas Lori Brock served on the Hastings City Council from 2015 to 2022, including serving as acting mayor from 21 to 22, and has been active in the community and responsive to her community constituents. And whereas Lori served on the Historic Economic Development and Redevelopment Authority, HEDRA, from 2021 to 2022, focusing on regulations and city services conducive to encouraging private development, including 10 redevelopment loans, creating 125 apartment units, creating the HART grant, which provides $180,000 in small business relief to 70 small businesses during the COVID pandemic, the Riverfront Lighting Project, the purchase of Rivertown Liquors and Country Nights for redevelopment, the Quality One Woodwork and Intech Plastics expansions, converting a former Target building to a Fleet Farm and opening up a Jersey Mike's store, and creating the Facade Improvement Grant Program. And whereas Lori helped create miles of trail expansion and improvement in and around the city with the 10-mile trail loop. In addition, Lori was involved in the Riverfront Renaissance completion and other street reconstruction and infrastructure improvements. And whereas Lori had a long-range focus on financial management, including serving on the Finance Committee of the City Council from 2017 to 2020, Lori recognized that reasonable people can disagree, sought to understand and respect other people's perspectives, and was a proponent of bringing 7 individual council members together as a team. And whereas Lori helped author a joint resolution with Independent School District 200 to create Thrive, and she represented Hastings on the Beyond the Yellow Ribbon Board. And whereas Lori believed in upholding the core values of communication, optimal service, respect for resources, and enthusiasm, and she developed or strengthened partnerships that benefit the residents of the city. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Committee on Rules and Legislative Administration of the House of Representatives of the State of Minnesota that it congratulates Lori Brox for her many years of outstanding service to her community and state and wishes her well in future plans. This is signed Melissa Hortman, Speaker of the Minnesota House of Representatives, Ryan Winkler, Chair of the Rules and Legislative Administration, Tony Jurgens, State Representative, and State Senator Carla Begum. Lori, congratulations and thank you.
Lori? I think they want just that. Thank you.
Service to our community. Thank you.
Drive safe. Thank you. Thank you to you both. Sure, you're welcome. At this time, I'd like to invite Mayor Hicks, who was a part of your team the first 4 years of your 8. So welcome, Paul.
Thank you, Your Honor. Well, good evening, Council. This does not feel unfamiliar to me. It's nice to stand here for a minute. But I wanted to come down here because I thought it was important because in December of 2014, Councilmember Brox and Councilmember Vaughn came to my office back then and to talk about expectations. I don't know if you remember that discussion in the mayor's office about how we conduct ourselves in the Diaz, what the expectations were in public service, from my perspective. You know, the art of governing is hard. And I think after you look at your 8 years, there were times when it was very hard. I can think of some of those times what can be very hard, right? But so rewarding. And when we think about governing, and we have a great example here, Representative Jurgens and Senator Bingham was here, and Commissioner Slavic. The art of governing takes some things that I think is very important, and both of you have demonstrated it so very well. One is when you're in a public body like this and you're a leader, you have to know how to build consensus. And I was always impressed with the way that you can reach out and build consensus with others, not only among your colleagues here on the council, but with community groups around the community. So important in the art of governing to be able to do that. Secondly, when you disagree. I think we've read stories and horror stories in the past where you see councils around this state who can't get along because they have a personality or 2 or 3 that don't want to play fair, right? How can we disagree and still move the ball forward? Councilmember Vaughn, Councilmember Brox, you know how to do that. And that is an art. That is an intelligence to be able to do that. Thank you so much because it meant a lot for being participants at this DS, and it meant a lot to the people of Hastings because you were able to advance the ball. Maybe it wasn't something that happened that you agreed with, but you were supportive and you worked with your colleagues. Thank you. You know how rare that is? All you have to do is read the paper. You'll find out someplace it doesn't work like that. And I hope the new council members will take note, and I think you will. Okay? I remember, I'll talk a story just real quickly. First of all, I'm not quoting a president tonight, so don't worry about any quotes. I know you people always like that. But Councilmember Vaughn, I remember appointing you to the Rail Commission that you served, became chair of the River Rail Commission. I got reports from the Capitol I said, Paul, do you know this Mark Vaughn? He's a council member from Hastings. He said, of course I know Mark Vaughn. Good man. He says, he's doing a heck of a job down there running that commission. And I heard that at the Capitol. Thank you, Mark. You are an outstanding public servant. I know you're well-read. I know we talked a lot of history when we worked together. And thank you for your talent. You know, one of the things as mayor, sometimes I would get a little impatient. Oh, Mark would have his hand up. He said, did we look at this? Well, yeah, maybe that's a good idea. Did we step back and look at X, Y, and Z? Mark, you had a great talent for that. And you made us stop for a moment and think about what we're doing. And that's a talent. Thank you for that. Lori, I remember when you almost passed out on me. In the community, we had a sex offender come into the community, moving into a neighborhood in our community, and Lori and I asked to see Lori, and we spoke privately. I said, Lori, I'm going to have you in charge of the sex offender ordinance. And she went, huh? Paul, and we had a public hearing out at the junior high or at the middle school. It was packed. People were upset. Of course it is upsetting when you talk about sex level offenders moving in a neighborhood, right? I said, Lori, we're going to write an ordinance in the city of Hastings to address some of these issues, and I want you to lead it. Well, she thought about it and says, well, I don't know. I said, you can do it. Remember that, Lori? I said, you have the leadership skills, you have the intelligence, and I wanted a lawyer involved in that, a good lawyer. And I had all the confidence in the world that you would do an excellent job. And you may recall, members that were here at that time, we did pass that ordinance, and you disagreed parts of that ordinance. But you brought it forward anyway for discussion and a great healthy debate, and we passed the ball, we passed it, and now it's an ordinance in the city of Hastings because of your leadership and guidance. That takes intelligence, that takes, you did it with such grace. And I think the community is, and both of you, I'll stop talking here, but thank you so much for all you've done for the community. I've heard it around. I'm sure Mayor Fassbender will be able to talk to groups and say, yeah, that Councilmember Vaughn, that Councilmember Brox, they know how to govern. And that's probably the utmost compliment you might be able to get as a public servant. Thank you for being great public servants. Our community is better for your involvement. And thank you for the opportunity, Your Honor, to address that. And thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Hicks. Well, it's no secret, this is their last meeting. I personally will start with talking to you both. My first 4 years, and only 4 years so far as mayor, I have learned a lot from you. I've learned, I'm going to get emotional like Carl, not to quick respond to anything, to listen, and not for what I want, but what is best for the community. That's what I've learned the most from you two. I've learned it from everyone, but you two as at large represent the full city, and you did do that. So again, I have two new at-large coming and learn from them because, as Mayor Hicks just said, they know how to govern. We all learn every day. I'm continuing to learn, but I will look back and listen to a response that maybe comes to me, and I'm going to think, okay, what would Mark think? What would Mark say? What would Lori do? I mean, you know, those are things that that are going to be this little thing in the back of my head. So I totally respect your positions for 8 years, but more importantly, for the last 4. I am thankful for your patience with me and our conversations we've had to build a better council for the community. So at this point, council, I'm going to ask you if you would like to give a few words. to them individually or together. Yep, Councilmember Fulch.
Thank you, Your Honor. There's three of us who came in together right after Councilmember Brox and Councilmember Vaughn, myself, Councilmember Liefeld, and Councilmember London. And I would say at first, we went through the stages of team building, where there's a lot of enthusiasm at first, and then you go through storming, and we at times, butted heads and worked it out, and then we got into norming, and now I feel like we are just super performing. And the two of you have been the anchors of the council in the last 6 years. You've been the leaders. You are at the front of the big thoughts. You both bring such wonderful perspective. You've made me a better council member, and I have the greatest respect for both of you. And so thank you so much, and thank you for your friendship, and thank you for all that you've done for our community. I know that folks don't realize how difficult it is to be such quality council members as you are. And I want folks to know that these two come to every meeting prepared. They've read their packets, they've done their due diligence ahead of time where they've talked to others, and they've done their homework, and they just come prepared to nail it. And so that is really unique. And so thank you so much for that level of commitment. I just want folks to know really that's the quality of these two folks, and you're going to be sorely missed. Thank you both.
Councilmember Fox.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think one thing people don't realize or recognize all the time is how much of council's work happens in our committees or our commissions. Our conversations and our connection to each other is really what guides our vision as a council. I've had the opportunity to serve with Councilmember Vaughn more frequently than Councilmember Brox on committees. But with both of you in those private meetings or the meetings with just a few of us, I have been able to take so much away from your leadership and bring so much more to council. As Councilmember Fulch said, you've made me a better council member. Your leadership and wisdom and your guidance has been so helpful to me personally and so helpful to us as a council. And thank you for those moments of grace and those moments of wisdom in those meetings behind the scenes that not everybody gets to attend. I appreciate your work. I appreciate your service, and I'm excited to keep in touch.
Thank you, Councilmember Fox. Councilmember Lund.
Well, I'll keep it short, but I mean, this is a really great honor to be here, and it's probably really hard to decide to move on. It's a rewarding responsibility, but it has a lot of things that come along for the ride. It's demanding on your family. It can be a big personal sacrifice that a lot of people maybe don't realize. And so I very much saddened to see both of you go, but I understand. And I hope that you find some really fun ways to use your newly found free time. And I'm excited to see what you can do with that. We've heard it many times over, and it's all true. They approach their work with thoughtfulness and integrity. Grace was a good word. I like that. I'd agree with that. And they're just really good people. And I'm going to miss both of them. And, I've learned a lot. The three of us have learned a lot from both of you. But most importantly, I really appreciate your friendship. And that's something that doesn't end today. So thank you both.
Thank you, Councilmember Lund. Councilmember Brox, would you step up, please? I'd like to award you with this in recognition of your years of public service to the Councilmember Vaughn. Same thing to you, in recognition of 8 years of public service in the great city of Hastings. And it's Hastings, Minnesota and its citizens, 2015 to 2022. I thank you. Council will come up and we'll. Sorry, we have to finish the meeting.
Former mayor always told me to bring notes. No quotes from presidents on this one. Sorry, Lori, I kind of jumped the gun. I should have offered it up to you first. Figured I'm closer, why not? I'll make it quick. It's truly been an honor. It's a privilege to serve the residents of the city of Hastings. This has been a rewarding, I heard that today, rewarding experience and opportunity that Hastings has trusted in me in 8 years. And I really appreciate all the support I've got for those 8 years. I've gained so many new relationships, a lot of friendships, but I had the opportunity to keep learning. I learned so much doing this role. You don't understand the value of that when you get that ingrained to it. I thank my current colleagues. I thank the former colleagues that I got to serve with. And commission members. It was great to always appoint a commission member. It was one of the most satisfying things I got to do. But I think I really want to highlight, I always believe staff as a colleague to me. Our staff, former staff and current staff, they're the experts. They're amazing. I always wanted to make sure we were part of that same team. And I'm grateful for them because they educated us. They really helped us through this process of doing what we do. And I thank every one of them, and I really thank their patience because they had to deal with a lot of us asking a lot of questions and wondering why. Thank you to all the staff for the city of Hastings. I'm going to miss this role as being elected, no doubt about it, but being partners together to provide service to fellow residents and guests of this community is really important. There's been many mentors, I can't name them all, there's a lot of them here today, that have helped me, educated me, but they also got to serve with me. Thanks to all of them, and thanks to the ones that are here today. Most important, the family. They weren't supposed to be here today. Lori's going to get it. They assist us with this. They're committed to this just like we are. But you know, they're dedicated to the community just like we are. Thank you. Lastly, this colleague knows, and former colleagues know, I always believe the city of Hastings service is just part of this equation of community, and I can't promote this enough. Sometimes everybody says the city needs to do more, the city needs to do that. We provide a city service. We're part of that equation. We have school board, we have businesses, we have residents, we have nonprofits. They're all part of that equation. And I challenge the next council and staff to continue that forward to provide our part of the service, our part of the equation really well. And then trust our partners in the community to do their part. When we're all said and done, we're going to make a better community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you to the residents in the city of Hastings for trusting me I was on the Charter Commission before I was here, and that commission experience really gave me the desire to serve the city of Hastings. And I, like Councilmember Vaughn, I couldn't have served with better people. Mayor Hicks, I'm so thankful for you. You've been a great friend and a mentor whenever I have a question, whenever I need some advice. I love doing this job, and I feel like I'm decently good at it. But what's amazing about it is there's so much about what happens in the city of Hastings that has nothing to do with me. There's so many people that are doing great things every day. There's people like Christy at the Chamber, or people at Hastings Family Service, or all these different organizations that are contributing to the better whole. And although people look at the city as the central hub of activity and decision-making, which we are, there's so many individual great efforts that are going on every single day. And I think what I'm most thankful for is all the activity that I've gotten to witness of all these people doing all these amazing things for each other and for the community as a whole. So I'm just really grateful to be here and to have the privilege to serve for 8 years. I know not everybody knows my family, but when I was elected, I didn't have any kids yet. And shortly after the beginning of my term, my son Jonathan and Grace came into my life. So within 2 months of becoming a council member, I also became a mom, which was a huge commitment and has been the most rewarding and wonderful part of my life. My family is here, and I really appreciate them. My husband has had to do a lot of extra parenting while I'm here, and make a lot of meals and do a lot of taxiing. And so I'm just really grateful. He is my #1 supporter, cheerleader, and has been behind me, supporting me this whole time, and has always wanted me to do more than I thought I could do myself. So Tommy, I'm grateful for you and my kids and my parents and my mother-in-law and my father-in-law, who's no longer with us. He would ask me questions about projects that were going on with the city, and he would challenge me. I'm so grateful to him and all the things that he contributed to my life. And yeah, my life and my family has changed. My kids are getting older. I am looking forward to spending a little more time with them and doing a little more sitting on the soccer field or sitting at the track. And just being there for them as they continue to grow and do great things. But I am really grateful for all of you and everything that you bring, and all of your talents and skills and all of the different perspectives that we have. And I think it's funny, it was in the resolution, but I guess my biggest thing has always been that it doesn't matter to me if we disagree. Reasonable people disagree, but we can still respect each other and move forward. And I think that some of that ability is getting lost in our society, to be able to respectfully disagree and be able to still move forward and love each other as people, and realize that there's a difference between people and ideas, and that I love people. And that's what I love most about this job, is all the people that I've gotten to know and meet and have relationships with that I wouldn't have otherwise. And so I'm so, so grateful for that. But I think that we need to remember that we can really disagree about ideas, and we can still love each other as people, because at the end of the day, we're going to run into each other in the grocery store and at Fleet Farm and Culver's or wherever else you go. We are a small community, and we are related to each other, we care about each other, we run in the same circles. So I've tried to keep that in mind, that even though I am an elected official, I'm a person, and the relationships with the other people around me are more important to me than anything that I do in this job. But I do want to say I'm so grateful for everyone who's voted for me, written me an email, given me a phone call, even if it was an angry one. I think we need more feedback. We need more people paying attention and giving feedback so that we can make decisions that are best for our community. Because if we don't have feedback, then we're just spitballing what we think is the best. So I also want to echo what Mark said about city staff. Our city staff are second to none. They do the majority of the work of the city of Hastings, and we're just sitting here making some guiding decisions, but they are really doing the excellent work day in and day out. And so I know as council members, we challenge them a lot and we ask them to do more and to go further with less money all the time. So I just want to tell all of you that I respect you and the positions that you have and the work that you do. You really are the backbone of the city of Hastings, and we're just fortunate enough to get to work with you, I think, as a city council and get to make some decisions alongside of you. But I just want to say I'm grateful. I'm so thankful that I got to be here and do this, and I owe it all to all of you. So thank you so much.
Council members, do you have any announcements? Okay, I have a few. Santa will be accompanying the Hastings Police Department as they drive through town in the decorated command vehicle, following the addresses at the Show Us How Your Holiday Lights Shine display on December 22nd, with several stops for Santa to visit with children and families. Recycle your old lights at the Hastings Holiday Lights Drop-Off Collection. Residents can drop off their unwanted light stands at the Joint Maintenance Facility, 920 10th Street, West 10th Street, during the holiday season through January 31st. City offices will be closed Monday, December 26th, and Monday, January 2nd. Meetings coming forward: Tuesday, December 20th, Heritage Preservation Commission. Wednesday, December 21st, that Arts Task Force has been canceled. Tuesday, December 27th, Planning Commission has been canceled. Tuesday, January 3rd at 7 p.m. is the regular city council meeting. I'm sure I and council wish to hope that you all have a happy holiday filled with love, joy, and mostly peace. Until 2023, council, I would accept a motion to adjourn. Councilmember Vaughn, and I demand Councilmember Brox to second it. Second. All those in favor state by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And we are adjourned. Thank you.